It's time for moving on. Away from the jockeys, the backstretch, and running for the man. Away from the carriage, the plow, and working for the man. Now there is no looking back, no turning back. Because they're not going back. They're never going back again.
Look at that! Helping horses, helping people means it's everything. We help the horses, but I think in their turn, they are also helping us.
At Sunshine Horses, the future's looking kinder.
Sunshine Horses is a horse rescue. It's located here, right in Clay, New York. We've been here for 8 years. Sunshine Horses has been in existence for over 20 years. There are horses, specifically standard breds, that have outlived their ability to do their primary job, which is racing. And those horses have to be then retrained and repurposed for pleasure riding. And so they come to Sunshine Horses through the Standard Bred Transition Association. We are accredited by them, as well as the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries.
They come in all shapes and sizes, each with their own personality and story, each waiting to find their forever home.
He gets a really, really nice coat. We call him a woolly bear because he has such a great undercoat that in the wintertime, he's really got lots and lots of fur. It keeps him nice and warm.
Sunshine Horses connects equine lovers like Dawn Ellis with horses like the boy N.
Actually, I've been a member of Sunshine Horses now for almost 12 years. And in that time, I became a schooler, so I started working with some of the horses. And I was asked to work with Boy, and he was not my first choice, unfortunately. Boy was not a very happy horse. He was retired from racing, and he just had some real difficulties. He had some leg problems, he had some personality issues. But I was asked to work with him, and as I worked with him, he needed me just as much as I needed him. Such a good boy. Such a good boy.
When they first come to Sunshine, I have observed some, anxiety. They're anxious. They're in a new environment. Sometimes they may not be used to being handled.
When Summer and Buttercup first arrived at Sunshine Horses, the two mares were in dire straits.
Both mares were in a situation through no fault of their own and through no fault of their owner. The SPCA and the family reached out to Sunshine and asked us to please help.
Their owners had aged out and could no longer care for them. Buttercup's hoofs were painfully overgrown, and both had spent considerable time stable-bound. So it was good to find a soft landing.
Yes. It's okay, sweetheart.
In a place where people showered them with concern and understanding.
Oh, I love cookies. Thank you. Yeah.
Their first 4 weeks were spent in the quarantine barn, and gradually there was light at the end of the tunnel. Step by step, day by day, the horses reacclimated to the world. And 4 weeks later, they were well on the road to recovery.
And we are going to start working with them, doing some simple groundwork and more handling now that they are off of quarantine.
That is the work that we do. Thanks to the work of our 250 plus active volunteers.
Some of those helping hands constructed over 5 miles of fencing.
4 or 5 guys, and once we got a rhythm, we knew what the next step was, and we could build 200-300 feet of fence per day some days. Over 500 fence posts, every 8 feet. A lot of sore muscles at the end of the day.
Every single day of the year, 2 shifts, take care of them in the morning and take care of them and put them all to bed at night.
And that day begins at 7 a.m. when an army of dedicated volunteers descends upon the barn, taking care of the horses' every need.
It's organized chaos.
You go, bud.
Stable work can be down and dirty and decidedly very gritty.
So everyone's gonna go out today?
According to Lori Mogg, one of the morning shift team leaders, the volunteers are easily motivated.
And it's just their heart. No one else can take care of them except for volunteers. They can't take care of themselves, so the horses need us.
I didn't realize how much red he had in his tail.
It's a glorious thing to be able to wake up every day and know, oh, I'm gonna come to the barn.
Do horses deserve kindness too?
Yes,
Why is that?
because they have hearts and they have feelings just like we do.
You're being a good boy right now, and I really appreciate it.
I don't know anybody that has a horse, so this is my chance to come out and see horses and pet them and take care of them.
It's rewarding though when you get to walk the horses in and rub them down and groom them, and they're getting some great love here at Sunshine.
Details, details, details. The 4-legged residents here have many health issues,
All right. Oh, thank you. You're gonna hold your head up for me?
and each one is treated with a compassionate touch.
Oh, good.
There are special diets, medications, and accommodations for someone like Dawn.
Dawn has cataracts, and we actually had to have her right eye removed. Unfortunately, she does have cataracts in her other eye.
Twice a day, Mary Minkoff comes to visit. How's Dawn doing?
She's doing well. Just giving her drops for her glaucoma. She's very gentle. In fact, we use her for a lot of our new volunteers training because she's just so gentle. Good personality.
Dawn's a really, really sweet girl. We try to keep her in the same stall. We try to keep her in the same pasture. We have her paired up with Doyle. It's kind of like Doyle's going to be like her seeing eye horse. So hopefully she won't lose that other eye, but if she does, we'll still take great care of her.
And it's just a group of us that are passionate about taking care of these guys.
One vet in particular meets with us on a regular basis. She really knows the horses in and out, and she can tell if something doesn't seem to be right with them, along with us who see them all the time too.
He is wearing a fly mask today because he has a heart condition. And his heart condition and the heat affect his eyes and his body.
When you're a Sunshine horse, you have many admirers.
How important it is that our communities support Sunshine, because it's not just about the 27 horses here today or the hundreds of horses that have come through our property. It's about the thousands of people whose lives we touch. our communities that we serve extend not just to Clay, Baldwinsville, and Liverpool, and Cicero, but all the way down to the city, all the way out to Cazenovia, Madison County, and further. Every single time there's an event here, you're able to witness children, little children, walking around, reaching out, touching those horses, and the horses put out and extend themselves to the children. They're just as interested in them as they are in us. And the children delight in that, because here's this massive animal that is treating them with kindness. And therefore, kindness is also the children, the adults that are here, they're treating the horses with kindness.
How are you? How are you, sweet potato?
Tell you what, he's such a good boy, aren't you?
Yeah, you had fun rolling on the ground.
That's what Sunshine does, helping horses, helping people.
Thank you.
There's definitely a story behind every horse.
As a young horse, Dylan competed as a harness racer, and after a few years was auctioned off to the Amish community, who put him to work. Pulling, hauling, day after day. Dragging and straining. You give it your all, and then you give a little more. Year by year, wearing and breaking down.
And then, you know, they discovered that he was painful, so they got rid of him, so to speak, sent him to the kill pen.
And then they can become euthanized and used for horse meat.
I think we got him from the auction.
It's not a very good experience. They don't really eat. They're thrown in with a whole bunch of other horses. There's usually a horse in there that's pretty mean to other horses. You know, they're kicking, biting. There's a lot happening.
Individuals who pay the bail donate the horses to Sunshine, who are accepted only after a stringent health inspection and quarantine.
Or they have the meat man come, and he will take them out of the country, either to Canada or Mexico.
Dylan is not unpredictable. He's very predictable. You just got to know what his tics are.
We discovered that we could not pick up his right rear foot. He would fall over.
Sometimes he nips, and sometimes at the most inopportune times, like when you really trust in him, and he'll go, okay, boom.
He was in horrible pain.
It's because he has PTS.
So he's on medication, and he's doing pretty well.
Russ is another survivor of the kill pen pipeline.
So we got Russell, and he was full of it when we got him. He was a whole lot of horse.
He was very traumatized when he got here. I don't think he knew love for years. At one point we brought him to the fair, probably a little too soon after we got him, and he thought he was at auction. So within 2 hours we had to bring him back to the barn.
And then as we moved on with him over the years, we found that he has ring bone, which is advanced arthritis, pretty much. And he has a tough time walking sometimes, which puts him into a lot of pain, and so he acts up.
Sometimes I think he has the pain in his feet, does a lot of kicking because I think he thinks he can kick it away.
December 2023, Governor Kathy Hochul signed into law legislation that now prohibits the slaughter and consumption of horses in New York State.
They must go to some type of facility like Sunshine Horses and be repurposed and rehomed.
At one point, Russ was adopted, but it didn't work out. There's hope that someday he'll find his forever home as a companion horse. In the meantime, there is the joy of freedom. As for Dylan, well, he enjoys spending quality time with his pal Klaus.
Hello, Jimmy.
And living the good life with the ones who understand.
He'll never be a riding horse, but he's a great companion. You know, he'll be somebody's good companion someday. So for now, we just love on him and take as best care of him as we can.
So pretty. So pretty.
There's something very special in the bond between a horse and his or her person.
Diane Sestak can tell you all about that.
This is Legs. And that's his brother by another mother, Mystery. So Legs and Mystery came in as a group of 4 about 7 or 8 years ago. They came from a loving family. However, the kids had moved away, and before long, the parents couldn't take care of them anymore, and they just were out to pasture for a long time. And they were in a little bit of rough shape and needed quite a bit of rehabilitation and some meat on their bones. It's hard to imagine that these guys are as old as they are, because this one's 32 and you know this one's 29. You see them, I mean, they're like, what are you guys talking about? We're not old. Yeah, we're not old. When you come into the barn, there's something about those two. They're at the front door. They have to look at each other because they're bonded. So they're right at the front door. And when you come in, there's always a little low nicker that comes out of them. And it's the welcome nicker. And it's the, do you have something for me? Are you gonna come pet me? Are you gonna give me a treat? They bring a lot of joy. We call them the mayors of the barn. They're very sweet, they're very loving, and they're very intuitive. Those horses, there's something about them that, for me personally, that they just understand. They get your feelings. They have that, we always say there's that horse-human connection, and they are, in my mind, for me, that perfect horse-human connection. My dog had died not too long ago, and I didn't know what to do. I sat in Legs' stall and just sobbed my heart out, and he came over and he wrapped his head around me and held me with his head, and that heavy head just allowed me to grieve. And since that day, we've had an unspoken bond that if I'm sad, he knows, and he'll rest his head on my shoulder. And I wear them all the time. My girlfriends, my barn sisters here at Sunshine, took part of their tails and had it made into a ring. And it's Sunshine. It's who we are.
Old March doesn't get around much anymore.
Yeah, March goes in here for the day because she doesn't go out into the pastures, so she gets to come in here to exercise for the day a little bit.
She has Cushing's disease, which prohibits eating anything with sugar, and that includes grass. And so she spends her time confined to her stall or in the arena eating her pre-soaked hay.
March, she's got a lot of medical problems, so she's really distant. She sometimes just stares at the corner of the walls, and it's so sad.
Yet once you hear the backstory to her life, you realize it's been a very happy life.
March had been taken away from her mother when she was 4 months old and was in a stall by herself. And all legs and ears and skin and bones. She was 11 and a half months old.
Lori Cayley first met March in New Orleans. It was love at first nip and the start of a 20-year relationship.
As a youngster, she would nip at me, and when I was trying to train her not to, if I had my hand on the top of the stall, she would try to sneak in and grab a nip, but she knew I would slap at her And so she would jump out of the way before I could get to her. And then she would try to sneak back in again and get another nip. So she trained me well.
Hello, I missed you.
It was an adventure, especially being in the Navy.
And everywhere that Lori went, the horse was sure to go.
She was kind of ornery. She chased a few people out of the pasture in Virginia Beach, and she was out there with about 18 other mares, and she could get them pretty riled. I retired and brought her up here to Camillus, and that's where we were for over 10 years. And then I had a house fire and couldn't keep her, so I ended up having to turn her over to the Sunshine Stable.
6 years passed without any contact.
Oh, it was breaking my heart.
And then, a reunion.
According to the volunteers out there, she remembers me and she relaxes around me, and I put my arm around her neck, and the volunteers said that she would never have let them do something like that, and she just relaxed right into me and kind of leaned onto my side, and she knew me. And I love her. And I was glad I had as much time as I did with her. Every day I keep the pictures that the stables has sent me are on my entertainment center and right there in front of me every day, and I look at her and wonder what she's doing and hoping she's not getting into trouble. Her being a little Mustang made things a little tougher because she has a mind of her own and she knows how to use it.
It's a big change, transitioning from racehorse to pleasure horse, and a big step towards finding your forever home. At Sunshine Horses, that task falls upon the volunteer schoolers.
We all work together as a team in trying to get our horses comfortable with getting a saddle on them for the first time, getting a rider on them for the first time, and walking them. Sometimes when you first walk on the horse and you're on their back, they're walking there like a little staggered. They're like, what's happening here?
So come on along. Class has almost started. His real name is Soho Wall Street Wally, but everybody calls him Wally. Back when he was running races, he ran up over $500,000 in winnings. They say the folks back at the track nicknamed him Gramps because sometimes he's so darn silly. But today it's all business. He's hooked up with schooler Marissa Jones, and Lori Mogg is tutoring another former racer, the pretty Susie Q.
Good girl. When she came, she hadn't had a rider on her before, so I was the first one that got to ride her, and I've been working with her for almost 9 months, 8 months on saddle. Wally is a very special boy. He is able to trot, which as a standardbred is not something that they learn naturally. So for him to be able to do that with such ease is amazing. Yeah. I think when the horses don't have a job, they get bored and they get cranky. You can start to see some bad behaviors. So the more work that they can do, the happier they end up being. The great thing about standardbreds is that they are so willing to learn. They want to please you. They are people-pleasing horses.
In the 20 years that Sunshine's been around, we've had over 300 horses adopted out.
In order to keep our accreditations, there must be an application process. We have an equine care committee. The members of that committee go out and take a look at where the horse will be kept. The horse must be maintained within a 300-mile radius of our farm. The person who's adopting the horse is allowed the opportunity to ride that horse. And if for any reason a person is unable to continue to care for that horse, the horse can be returned to Sunshine Horses.
And if you're unable to adopt a horse, you can always sponsor one, helping to fund the cost of their care.
And we had a woman in Kentucky who sponsored 4 of our horses. And who would have thought that someone as far away as Kentucky would be able to do that? She gave them as Christmas gifts.
I think animals make us more human. That's just my feeling. They make us better people. They make us kinder, more compassionate people.
That's a good statement.
They're never going back. They're never going back again.